Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Spiritual Connection Show. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So I'm a transformation coach. I'm an energy healer. I'm a shamanic practitioner, and I'm the spiritual head of the Transformation Center CT, which is located in Westport, Connecticut. So at the center, we do a variety of things. In addition to our individual coaching and healing sessions, we also have classes and workshops, retreats. We do sound baths in the backyard, and we have regular events every month. And one of them is satsang, which is usually the third or fourth Wednesday evening of the month. And satsang is Sanskrit from the company of truth. And we have been doing it on Zoom. That way more people can attend from all over the place. We started during the pandemic and we're continuing that. And, you're welcome to just come. It's an hour from 6 to 7 p.m. and just be with other like-minded individuals. We do some chanting, beautiful guided visualization. I think you'd really enjoy it. And it's a community service, so there's no charge for that. We also do a shamanic clinic every month, the second Tuesday of the month. And I'm going to put up a slide with our contact info, and you can go on the website, and all of the events are there every month. You can check it out, the shamanic clinic. And then we started something new recently, and it's a class, and it's called Spiritual Connection and Evolution. And we're meeting the second Saturday of each month. So it's an ongoing, it's an afternoon, 3 hours on Saturday afternoon. You can jump in anytime, you can continue, or you can just come and go as you wish. So again, that's on our website. All right, so thank you for being here, and welcome again to the Spiritual Connection Show. As you know, I am all about connection. I really love meeting new people. I really like connecting with them. And so the purpose of the show, the reason I started it, was so you could connect with my guest and myself every week and learn what you can. Everybody has a different story to tell, a different journey. There's always something in it for you. So I encourage you every week if you can, but to take away what's meaningful for you. So I appreciate your being here, because we're really here to support you on your journey, okay? So thanks again for being here. So I'm so excited today. My guest is Lynda Mettler. Welcome to the show, Lynda.
Thank you, Katie. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to see you. So, I met Lynda recently, actually, through our TLC group, which is a group of holistic health practitioners. And we immediately connected. And it turns out we have so much in common. We were just laughing before we started how much we have in common. And you'll hear a little bit about it in a minute. Because Lynda is a certified life coach. She's a Reiki master. And she's the owner of Channeling Your Wisdom Coachings. I'm going to also put up her slide, and you can see her website, which is yourwisdomcoaching.com. And you can connect with her through her website, and that's her email underneath it. So Lynda specializes in transformational coaching with a focus on internal family systems, which you're going to learn a lot about in a few minutes. And what it is, it's a therapeutic approach that's powerfully effective in helping clients move beyond their wounds from the past. And combining the IFS with meditation and life coaching techniques, Lynda helps clients discover and remove blocks that are preventing them from having healthy relationships, pursuing their dream career, losing weight, or even just accessing joy. And, she's going to tell you about her story, because she herself has been transformed by this powerful work. And she says she's honored to be with us today to talk about it. So again, welcome, Lynda. Take your slide.
Thank you.
Great. All right. So as you know, I always like to start asking my guests the first question, which is, can you tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey, how you got here, anything you want to share?
Thank you. It's a funny thing. I really began at a pretty early age, trying to find my purpose. It was all about purpose. I was a kid who was the third in line of 3 sisters, and I found my voice, I suppose you'd say, as like the people pleaser. I was like, the kid that my sister sort of ordered around, and she was very dramatic and took up a lot of the um, airtime in our family. So I found myself just kind of being the kid who wanted to be easy. I wanted to make people happy. And that was how I stood out in my very quiet way. But, um, you know, as I got a little bit older, things got much more complicated because I lost my mom when I was about 13. And at that time, being in the shadow of my sister, I didn't really have a sense of who I was. And I really had no sense of what I was good at. I was never good at sports, or I was creative, but not really creative. I get bored kind of easily. Fast forward years later, and I would learn that I had probably some attention deficit issues that nobody had diagnosed. And so, what that presented for me was this feeling of like, who am I? And why am I on this earth? And I think it's a question a lot of us at that young age, around 13, 14, ask. We have a whole sense of self, but we don't really understand what our role in the universe is. And because I lost my mom at that time, I got sort of locked into that question. And so as I grew up, I just would ask myself, not feeling like I was particularly good at one thing or another, am I meant to do? Why am I here? And the one thing I knew I was good at and I liked doing as a people pleaser, I was a fixer. I liked helping people. I liked giving advice and making people feel better. I could not figure out, I didn't have good guidance. I didn't have anybody say, have you ever thought of majoring in psychology? I didn't have any of that. So I just was kind of wandering around like, the little bird in Are You My Mother in the Dr. Seuss book, going from like one place to another, going, is this my purpose? Is this my purpose? And I college didn't work out the way I'd expected it to, because I really had lost my compass when I lost my mom. And so my grades kind of went down, and I just was living in the moment. And so I didn't finish college in the traditional sense. I did go back and finish eventually when I figured out that maybe I should major psychology, and found it really interesting. But I went to work at an early age, and I built a respectable career in marketing and advertising. Had elevated to management roles, but I always felt like I was wearing someone else's shoes, to be honest. It never felt like this was the work I was meant to do. And the higher I went in the hierarchy, the more insecure I began to feel. And I began to feel like an imposter. And I began to feel badly that, someone had entrusted me to manage a team of people, and I felt completely unqualified for that. And so in my spare time, I would volunteer in anything and everything I could find. I was a firefighter. I bartended. I had worked as a guardian ad litem. I've worked for Habitat for Humanity. I've done so many things, grief counseling, all in this service of trying to figure out what would light a fire. I did go back, I finished my degree, I did, graduate work in social work, and still nothing really felt like it was my thing. I felt I was somewhat good at it, but I didn't feel like I was great at it. And I didn't love it. So my journey really has always been about finding my purpose. And what changed for me was I discovered Reiki a few years ago. And there was something about the way that energy moved me that felt so authentic, and something beyond anything I could ever relate to, or even explain. It was just such a beautiful, amazing spiritual experience. But I knew I wasn't meant to be a Reiki practitioner. I came home, thought maybe this is it. Once again, Are You My Mother? Maybe this is it. And sure enough, it didn't resonate for me that way. But a couple of years later, I went back and I got my master's certificate. And that was where things began to shift. I came home after an amazing, energizing, energetic weekend, and I sat down to meditate. And in the meditation, in an instant, what came up for me was how I just had this vision of my job, and then I had a vision of my family, and I could see so clearly how feeling that I wasn't in control at work because I was working in a sales position, and I was working for public radio. I was really powerfully involved in the mission. I care a lot about it. But I was working in development, so I was trying to do fundraising, and I had these sales goals, and I felt like I was out of control. I just couldn't get a sense of control over this work. And so in my home life, what this meditation showed me was that in my home life, I was choking down the things I could control, my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my stepdaughter. And it was then I came out of that meditation and I said, that's it, I've got to make a change. I don't know what I'm meant to do, but I know it's not this. And I was 50 at the time, and I was beginning to lose hope that I was ever going to find my purpose. I thought maybe it's just being a good stepmom or a good wife or a good family member.
Right.
And I still didn't have the answer, but I knew I needed to do something else, something completely different.
Hmm. Do you think that it came, that meditation and what the information that you got came because you had sort of not given up, but sort of just maybe stopped trying so hard to find your purpose?
Maybe it was in the resignation. There was the benefits at the radio station, because it was part of university, were tremendous. And I thought, you know what? I get great vacation. I have work-life balance. The retirement benefits are huge. I think I should just stay here and suck it up for the next 15 years. But a part of me, that part that holds on to hope that we all know, said, ah, and I felt like conflicted between, I kept trying to force myself into this box.
Hmm.
And maybe it was that, when I finally just said, I'm just going to have to accept that this is the best I've got and just
Yeah,
enjoy my life, you
maybe
know?
even temporarily. Sometimes when we let go, that's when we allow things, they come to us, so like in your meditation. Yeah. And
Exactly.
so then what happened?
So then, I called my husband and I said, he had been telling me for a while. I was like, he just, it made him, my unhappiness made him unhappy. So he would say to me, you can't stay at a job that's making you unhappy. And I would say, I can't leave because I don't know what else I should do. I'm so exhausted from trying to find the thing. And after this meditation, I called him up. I said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I think you're right. I can't keep doing this. But it was too soon for me to actually do something about it. I hadn't formulated a plan, so I sat down the next day and I cracked open a um, Natural Awakenings, which that magazine with all these great holistic, programs in it, and I was looking for leads of, possible sales leads, and I saw the Graduate Institute in Bethany, who actually had been a client of mine through public radio, so I knew who they were, and I saw this ad in there for something called Coaching with Spirit. I had looked at coaching before as a possibility, but it always seemed relatively cookie cutter to me and it just didn't feel right. But this something about the spirit, coaching with spirit, especially having had that energetic experience, really resonated. So I started doing some research. I called my husband again. He was traveling, that's why we weren't talking in person. And I said, I don't know what this is, but there's something about it. And he said, look, if it feels right, then go for it. I'm very, very fortunate to have that kind of support. And so I contacted them. I said, look, I don't know if this is the right thing for me, but is there an out clause? If it doesn't work out after the first weekend, can I get my money back? Because this was a big investment. And they said, yes, no problem. And honestly, Katie, by the second day, it was it. It was just it. I knew it was it. This is the work I was meant to do. We would do practice sessions with each other. And I love what you said about connection because that was what it was about this work and applying the Reiki energy is I was able to connect with like my demo client, like our practice client on such a deep spiritual level that I could not put into words, but I know it when I feel it. And I brought that energy to our practice sessions, and it generated this um this spiritual connection that that elevated us and elevated the whole room. And I thought, not only is this what I'm meant to do, I don't ever want to do anything but this all day, every day.
Oh, that's amazing, and I'm not surprised because was Guthrie Cyan your teacher? And I love Guthrie. You know, I think I mentioned I've been studying with him for years
Yes.
because my coaching training was coaching for transformation, which one component of it. So Guthrie would come as a guest lecturer, I guess, or guest trainer, and do one module was coaching with spirit. And that's how I learned about what you're going to talk about in a minute, I think, about the internal systems, except that he calls it parts work.
Yeah, it's the same, but
All based on IFS.
exactly.
But it sounds like you had a lot more of that in your training, because for me, it was just a small part of it. So then what Guthrie does is he teaches ongoing parts work classes every few times a year. He'll do parts work and it lasts like a few months, and then the second one. So yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah, so I got a taste of it in Coaching with Spirit. They've changed it now. They don't offer it in the first, they offer two, level 1, level 2. They don't offer parts work in level 1 anymore. Now it's all in level 2. But I was introduced to it and the power of it in the first class. But the thing that Guthrie teaches is not just about parts work, it's also accessing self-energy. And that's really what I'm going to talk a little bit more about. And that's part of the internal family systems model. But our self-energy is who we are at our core. And then, and when you're ready, I'll bring that up, and we can just, I can just kind of walk that down.
I mean, we can jump right in because you can share
Great.
screen.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, so I would say probably about 10 minutes on this segment, if that works for you.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you for the time check. Yep, I'll work on keeping it quick. So with internal family systems, the theory behind it is that we are a system, in an internal system. We all have the same system. It's like our inner world. And the belief is that at our core, who we are at our core is this is the person we were born, or characteristics of who we were when we were born. So as you can see here, there are all these great C words. We're calm and confident. That's my favorite. I can't tell you how much more confident I am than I was before I did this work. Creative, unleashing those creative juices, and courageous, having the courage to come here. I never would have in the past. And I know with the work that you do, I don't know if you would have either, but I think, being able to access this part of ourselves allows us to take risks that we never would have even considered before. The compassion, not only for ourselves, but for other people. When we have compassion for ourselves and our own humanity, we can have compassion for others. So this is who we are at our core. But early on, we all experience what I'm going to call traumatic experiences, and I don't mean that in the major trauma, although that can be there too, right? I mean more like the first time you're yelled at or reprimanded, the first time you're spanked, if you were of my generation, our generation, if you were bullied, or a teacher, belittled you, or a coach, reprimanded you, or anytime we experienced something that caused fear or pain, and we weren't prepared, we were too young to be to know how to deal with that, cope with that, we developed this outer shell. So first, this shell of pain and guilt and shame kind of shrouded that person who we were in underneath. And then we developed a defense mechanism that has some number of what we call parts, and this is the parts work. So you may recognize some of these or identify with some of these more than others. For me, I would say my perfectionist, my inner critic, which is the one that says, you're not good enough, you're not enough, this isn't right, the one that really judges you. I had an analyzer, that was how I really rational or reasoned my mom's death when I was 13, was I became really analytical. I tried to make sense of it. And that is the part that's really dominating who I have been in my life. And when that part and I developed a different relationship, all these other feelings I had been pushing down sort of came up. And I was like, oh my God, I hadn't realized how many feelings I had been repressing. But once they were free, I was no longer guided by this one way of being, and I could experience all of my emotions, like and be in the present, be here now, not always worrying about whether I was saying the right thing, or being the right person, or showing up with what was needed, or bending to be who other people were looking for. Because the other part of me, that little sister, that was a pleaser and a helper and a fixer. That was who I was in my family. And so when I discovered this work, I realized all these other things about myself that these parts were shrouding. And so back to that work part, and I'm going to go through this quick. When I would start a job, any new job, started it thinking, this is my purpose. Maybe this is it. And so I would wonder, is this it? And I'd get excited, and I'd really put everything I had into it. I'm going to be good at this. But then things began to get harder for me. It didn't feel natural. And then I started to doubt myself. And then I started to doubt who I was and my own value. And then I started to feel really ashamed for having taken this job and thinking, oh my God, I got it wrong again. And now I'm going to disappoint somebody. Sometimes there's a whole staff. And then I would feel like a failure. And then as I got further on in my career, I would either leave the job, or as I got further in the career, I started to feel a sense of despair and that I was never going to find my purpose. So, with the work that I do, coaching with spirit, the work that I do, and the reason why this is as effective as it is because I combine these 4 techniques. So, I combine this meditation to calm the system and help us reconnect with who we are at the core, that self energy we talked about before. And then I use Reiki to connect with the client and bring them deeper into the healing journey. Then we use IFS, which is internal family systems, to talk and identify some of the blocks that get into our way. Those parts that I showed you before, the indulger and the taskmaster. We learn about those. What is their role, and why are they here? Who are they protecting? What's the wound that they're protecting? And they actually, as odd as it sounds, will show us in some way or another, usually through a memory. They'll share a memory, and we can see the young one, the one who was wounded, and we can actually go in self energy to the young one and heal. We can heal the young one so that indulger part or the analyst doesn't have to keep working so hard. And that's how we bring self energy back into the forefront. And then we use traditional coaching skills to move forward, to design an action plan so that you can advance in your life through, those relationships that you want to have, improve, or, to find that career, or elevate in it, or lose weight, or whatever it is that you're stuck behind. Once those parts settle back, you have the freedom to sort out, what do I really want for myself? And how is a real, possible, effective way to get there without all these roadblocks in between. And so we go from this to rediscovering these and healing so that we can access self-energy again. And that's the journey.
Wow, that was really, really well done. I mean, I think it's an amazing methodology, if you will, the whole thing, but the way you put it together, it just really, it's like spot on. And I think I can see how everybody would benefit from this a lot. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, it's taken a lot of time to really come up with a way to explain it that makes sense. And I think it took me accessing my self energy, which, takes practice, but to be able to say, what has this journey been? And how have I seen it in my clients? And I have to be honest with you, and you're a transformational coach too. So I know I'm speaking to the choir here that there is no more beautiful, wonderful, warm, and loving work than you can possibly experience. And when you get to witness your client transform.
Yeah, well, that's perfect the way you said it. I totally agree. And for me, it's all about giving them the freedom that they want to create the life that they want. So, I'm all about possibilities and helping them see the possibilities and give them the freedom to go there, whatever they want.
Absolutely. I always say that they are driving the car. I'm the passenger holding the map. But they ultimately take me where they feel they want to go. And then I just maybe go, you know what, try turning right here and see where this takes us.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah, exactly. And all the spiritual energy is just a bonus because that's also guiding them and us in our work. So I think that's really
exactly right.
Wow. Yeah. Well, this is great. I'm so glad you were able to come and put together that wonderful presentation so we could see it so clearly. It's really good. Yeah, I really like that. Well, before we wrap up, we have a couple more minutes. Is there anything else that you would like to leave us with? Any thoughts or stories or anything else you'd like to share?
I really think that what I love most about the work that I do and the work that you do and all of us who are in the healing arts is that, especially through the lens of IFS, in recognizing, and I didn't really cover this before, but I just want to be clear, internal family systems is an approach to psychotherapy. And the reason we were able to practice it in coaching is because it's non-pathologizing. In other words, it assumes that we are all whole, no matter what we've experienced. And so I view my clients as whole, healthy beings that are just parts led. There are just parts in the way, and they can't see it. So when you feel like, oh, I'm so angry, or, I'm such a perfectionist, you're not. Those are just parts of you. Who you are at your core is still you, the calm, confident, creative, courageous self. We just need to learn about the part story and then kind of get them to settle back, move out of the way so we can get back to that self energy. And it's within all of us.
That's perfect. I totally agree with that too. Yes, it's all within us. We're all whole and perfect as we are. We're perfect with our imperfections, and all of this is so helpful because I think you're right. We're just not aware of it, and bringing awareness to it is great. So I'm just going to put up your slide one more time before we sign off, so people can see your website again. It's yourwisdomcoaching.com, and that's Lynda at yourwisdomcoaching.com. Yeah, so people can contact you there, and I'll just put up. So we have another 30 seconds. I'll put up the Transformation Center CT slide again, so anybody can contact me here, and that's the website, the phone number, and the email. So thanks again, Lynda, for your time, and it's so wonderful connecting with you and finding everything out that we have in common.
I know, Katie, it's been a real pleasure. I really appreciate the time and the opportunity.
All right, well, super. I hope to see you again soon. All right.
That's great.
Sign off, everybody. Thank you for coming to the Spiritual Connection Show. Bye-bye.
Thanks.